I'll start with very few thoughts. Everybody's excited about Saturday. Obviously, we've waited a long time for this, and it's here, and there's been a lot of excitement in practice. You got to be careful not to play the game on Tuesday or Wednesday with all your excitement. You got to make sure you practice hard, but be ready to play the game on Saturday. And we're going to try to play a lot of players. We've talked about that. And as it gets closer, it's tougher for coaches to do it because they've got to trust the player and they've got to buy in. So we've told the players, you got to earn the trust of your coach enough that on Saturday, during the pressure of a game, that he puts you in. Coach Babers and I, Dino's been a friend of mine for many years. He and I have discussed what we're going to do is he and I are not going to meet before or after the game. We're going to wave just for safety of everybody and asking our staffs to do the same thing. And then afterwards, the same thing with the players. And they may, some of them know each other. He's got some guys from North Carolina, but we're asking them not to have the personal contact where you high five or shake hands or just wave and be cordial, congratulate the other team on their effort and go about your business. So those are just things that we're going to look at this weekend that a little bit abnormal. Questions?
All right. Our first.
And the last thing is I'm still waiting. I'm hoping that the people in positions of power will allow our parents to come. I've talked to so many of our parents and they've never missed a game. So it's the players want their parents in. The parents want to be in. The parents are going to come to town anyway, and they're going to be outside the stadium or having to try to find a place to watch it on TV. So I know we're running out of time here, but I really hope that people will reconsider because this isn't a health issue. These parents need to be in that game, and we're really hoping that we will get permission to do that. That there'd be few enough of them that can nearly sit in an individual section. But all the guidelines will be in place. But again, I hope we get permission to let them come.
Okay.
Questions?
Ross Martin, you can start us off, please.
Hey, Coach, just quickly, is there an update on kind of the status of the offensive line? I know that was your biggest concern entering the week. How have they improved over the last couple of days, and what do you expect from that group in terms of numbers to play on Saturday versus Syracuse?
Ross, we're still not sure. We feel like it's better. We're still limited in those numbers of what we would like to be. And the biggest question mark is you've got a new defensive coordinator at Syracuse. They only have 4 starters coming back on defense. So you're having to look at a lot of different names and trying to find guys on video to try to figure out who will play in what position. And we're still not sure what the new defensive coordinator will do with his personnel. We know what he likes to do, but always when you've got a great safety like they've got, you're going to use him in different ways. So we're just looking at the different possibilities. So I really feel like the offensive line has the biggest question marks of what Syracuse will do going into the game. They're not going to change a lot on offense. We're not going to change a lot either way. But defensively, there's still some question marks for us about exactly who's going to play and what they will do up front.
How are you preparing essentially Austin Richards, who hasn't really played much in real critical moments, to protect Sam Howell's blind side?
What we've done is he goes against Tyrone Hopper and Tamon Fox and those guys every day. So we feel like he's getting really good looks. We've improved our talent level as a team in a year. And what we've done is we've put our best against our best every day to make sure that they get challenged. So we haven't worried about their confidence. We haven't worried about he's going to get his head down because he's getting beat too much. We're saying you're playing against a really good player every day. So that should better prepare you for Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move over to Caitlin Schmidt. Caitlin, go ahead.
Hi, Mac. This is Caitlin from the Daily Tar Heel. So switching gears for a second, regarding the Blueprint 919 and Coleman Game Plan for Success, how do these initiatives make Carolina football a 40-year program?
Caitlin, the biggest thing we're trying to do is stay ahead of name, image, and likeness. And everybody's always said the right things, that we want to prepare them for the future, and we want to make sure that they are better prepared for life after football when they get out. And we've all done some of that. We're trying to do it better than anybody else. We're trying to make sure that we teach them better how to use resumes and how to write your resume. And after their interviews, every interview, Jeremy sits down with them and goes over the interview and talks about, I like this. I don't know that I would have done this. Sit up more. I didn't like your answer here. And we're not telling them what to say. Just look at the person, look at the reporter, because it's an interview for a job for the rest of your life. And then we're also trying to do a better job with their branding. Jeremy and his staff have done a tremendous job with graphics and trying to make sure that each player can brand themselves, because name, image, and likeness seems to be like your three best players on the team may make some money out of their name. We're worried about the backup right guard, and we're worried about the third team corner, because they should have rights too. And that's what this program is trying to do, is get ahead of the game, get out there and help these guys learn to brand themselves better, and then make sure that they've got 5 or 6 interviews when they get through. And they do have opportunities. Instead of saying, we're going to help you with jobs, let's have a group of our lettermen in place as our guys. And if a guy wants to go into architecture, he wants to go into law, or he wants to go into development, we've got somebody he can talk to that can help him get in those interviews.
Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin.
All right, Andrew Jones, you are up now.
Hey, Coach, Syracuse announced yesterday that 3 players are opting out, including, I think, their top 2 running backs. And what has been a very unusual 5 weeks preparing for opponents that you didn't previously prepare for, does that kind of add just another wrinkle to the strangeness of prepping for Saturday?
Well, it does. Number one, you want to make sure that happens and that they don't get off the plane and come out and run for 200 yards. But the other thing is that we talked to our players about, if Michael Carter and Javonte Williams didn't play here, we've got some really good running backs on scholarship that would step up and be ready to play. So Syracuse won 10 games 2 years ago. They beat Wake Forest in the last game. So I really believe that we're talking too many positive things about us when we haven't proven any of it yet. And I think we're questioning Syracuse too much, because they've got great coaches, they've got great players, and their quarterback's really good. He scares me a lot. I like watching him. And I saw him some when I was in TV. Their secondary is really good. Their receivers are always good. So they're going to have 2 good running backs run out there to play regardless of who they are.
Well, my other question was going to be about Tommy DeVito. I think the players that are on the team now that were there 2 years ago, remember that he came in and saved Syracuse against Carolina in the Carrier Dome. What does he do that concerns your defense?
He's he can move his feet, so he can make plays with his feet. Their offense is very similar to ours. He can run the option. He can run the RPOs, where you'll see him come out like he's going to run the ball and stop and throw it when the defense comes up. I've been impressed with his toughness and his accuracy. He is so accurate. He hadn't thrown an interception in years, it seems like, because he's one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country, with his accuracy. So I've really, really been impressed with everything Tommy DeVito.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, CL Brown, you are up next. Go ahead, CL.
Yes, hi, Mac. I wanted to kind of clarify on your advocating for parents to be able to have admission to the game. Are you asking? Is it? I'm just wondering, who does approval have to come from? Because this is essentially Carolina's policy, if I'm not mistaken, for this month of September. So who would officially have to stamp, give their stamp of approval for it to happen?
Well, CL, I know that our administration has sent a letter to the proper people asking them to let our parents come to the games. I don't think they're asking for fans, but they are asking for the parents, and that's all they want. So it's 100% that the University of North Carolina, its administration, and 6 of the universities that are playing football this year have all asked that their parents, the players' parents, be able to come to the game. And that's the only request that there's been. But that has been asked by our university, I know.
Okay. And switching to Sam Howell, I was curious, when we talked to him yesterday, he was saying that he kind of manages expectations on his own. Like he's pretty level-headed and he doesn't try and read into things a lot. In what ways, for somebody who's kind of a self-starter like he is, in what ways do you challenge him to be better and improve? Or is it just you don't really have to tell Sam that because he does it anyway?
CL, most of the time what I do is say, good job, Sam, because that's who Sam is. I walked into Dre Bly's office yesterday afternoon, and they were social distancing, and they did have their mask on, but he had his feet propped up on a chair in Dre Bly's office, and Dre was trash talking to him about how the defensive backs just eat he and the receivers up every day. And Sam just sits there with a little grin on his face. He rarely even answers. So what you see out of Sam in these interviews is what we see every day at practice. He leads by example. He's one of the hardest workers on our team. I've never been around anybody that studies football more than he does at such a young age. And you would not, after being around him, you wouldn't even feel how successful he's been because he never talks about himself. He's always talking about the team. When we talked about name, image, and likeness, for instance, last year, Bubba Cunningham came in and talked to our team about it, about the quarterback may be able to get some money out of this, or maybe a great running back or receiver. And Sam stood up with the team afterwards and said, I don't like it because unless it's for everybody on this team, I don't want to be a part of it. And that's just who Sam Howell is.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, CL.
Next up is Alyssa Ray. Alyssa, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you guys have such a balanced offense this year. As a coach, to be able to have that many weapons, how exciting is it to be able to open the playbook up a little bit?
Alyssa, it's really important to us. The biggest thing, too, is what we talked about in the spring. We've worked really, really hard in improving our third down and 4 and fourth down and 2 or 3 offense and our red zone offense. So we want to do better at the goal line, especially inside the 10. And we want to be a better offense on 3rd and 4 because we need to be able to make first downs. And we go for 4th down most of the time, especially when we cross our 50. So that's what I'm excited to see is how much have we improved in those short yardage and goal line areas.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's move over to Greg Barnes. Greg, go ahead.
Hey, Mac, you guys were not able to have spring practice and you had a delayed start to summer workouts. So now that you're one full practice away from this opener, do you feel like you've been able to kind of mitigate and bridge that gap from where you had hoped to have been to now you're ready to play? I mean, have you navigated that well enough?
Yeah, Greg, it's a great question. I don't think you ever feel good about missing spring practice, and there's certain things that we would have been able to do then that we're still behind on. I do like the fact that the NCAA let us have walkthroughs before we started practice, and then we've had a longer time to practice because our game was moved back a week from the original Central Florida game. So we feel like that we're in good shape. We haven't had a lot of pulls. We haven't had a lot of the soft tissue issues that we were concerned about. So I do think that our strength staff and our medical staff, our trainers, our nutritionists have done a good job of navigating these crazy waters. And at the same time, we've been able to hit and practice like we normally would have. There's been no difference in the way we've practiced physically than there was last year at this time. The mask, the social distance, the way we drink our water, all of those things are different, but we've practiced and I think we're ready to play.
I failed to ask you on Monday, but with the situational scrimmage you guys had last Saturday, was that a challenge with trying to make sure the guys understood what was expected from them in this new setup? And do you have a staff member or two who are solely responsible for making sure those policies are adhered to?
We do. I would say yes to both of those questions. Number one, the situational scrimmage was a lot for organization and substitution. And we went through every possible scenario that could come up in a ball game. I know the kids look at us and say, good Lord, that's not going to happen. When did that happen? And with my age, they said that happened in 1968, Coach. When's the last time it happened? But most of our scrimmage was kicking game, and it was live, not tackling the returners. But we really felt like we needed special teams live. And we've had 2 scrimmages with special teams live. So we're hoping we're in a better place there than we were this time last year. And then lastly, the substitution with the box being expanded, trying to keep social distancing on the sidelines. It's still an issue. Poor Coach Longo hates that mask so much. I spend most of my time saying, Phil, get your mask up. So we're constantly telling the players, either have your helmet on or pull your mask up, just one of the two. And we'll have to do that on Saturday as well. Since you're being tested Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm about to go be tested here in just a second. And then we'll get tested at, I think it's between 11 and 1 on Friday. We should have everybody on the sideline clean for Saturday that's out there. So you shouldn't have to do as much as normal. So if somebody does have a mask off for a limited amount of time, they're not 15 minutes, we're probably going to be okay. But we're acting like everybody might have gotten sick after they got their test results back on Saturday morning, so we can make sure that we continue to stay spread out, because the guys and the staff have done a tremendous job since early of making sure that we're keeping each other safe.
All right. Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
All right, Aaron Beard, you're up next.
Hey, Mac, you mentioned the other day you had watched some of the games that had gone on, and you had talked to coaches about, the mistakes and things that show up. The Navy game against BYU, the Navy coach talked about they didn't hit, obviously, as much because of safety protocols and trying to follow that. I'm curious, how much do you think the protocols impacted what you guys were able to do in terms of hitting and tackling prep? And do you think that's something that could linger into the season, or maybe be more mistake prone with missed tackles because of teams having to do that in preseason camp?
Aaron, Kenny Niumatalola is one of the best coaches in the country. And the Navy kids are tough, they're smart, they're driven. So it just shows you that they were disappointed in their performance, but if you don't practice like you play, it's hard to play this game. And it was tough for coaches a month ago because we weren't sure if we would play. We weren't sure when we started. How can you do inside drill? How can you do one-on-ones? None of us knew that this was going to work. So every coach has handled it differently. And I think that what you're saying is so true. I think we'll see the early games in some cases ugly. There'll be a lot of mistakes, but I think as the coaches get more comfortable and the players get more comfortable moving forward, I think we'll see the normal game come back before we get to the end of the year.
And just to follow up, how much would you say you did hitting and tackling wise compared to a normal camp ultimately with what you had to do with protocols?
Aaron, we have done the same that we did last year. We have not changed anything. So we felt like that after we were having our walkthroughs and we tried early to make sure that our protocols were all followed very closely. And our doctor said, if you'll do these things, you're going to be fine. And we did them, and we were fine. And I do think when the coaches and the players bought into this works, it's been a good camp for us.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
Our final question today comes from Luke DeCock. Luke, go ahead.
Mac, good morning.
Luke.
As we're here at the precipice of the season, you talked quite a bit. You said earlier, talking about Syracuse, talking too many positive things about us when we haven't proven any of it yet, and people bragging on your team and all that. But I'm also curious, there is an opportunity here to build on last year, to take this next step forward. How do you balance that in your message to the team between not taking anything for granted, and yet at the same time, you have earned the right to be in a position where you can move forward?
Luke, we've talked a lot about that this week, and what we've addressed with the team is number one, we won the last 3 games handily because we played really well and we had fun, and we showed them we took care of the ball. We knocked the ball loose. We kicked it better. We did the things that you have to do to win, and we did them with a smile on our face, and we had great energy, and we enjoyed playing. We lost our momentum some without spring practice. Everybody did. We lost an opportunity to build on our depth. Everybody did. So we can't go back and say we're not in as good a place as we should be because we missed spring practice. Well, go talk to the 130 coaches that are out there, and they're all going to say, God, I wish I had spring practice, or we've had more injuries, or this or that. What we've talked to our players about the last 10 days as we get ready for Syracuse is we've got to develop an identity. Every team is different. The reason you're getting this publicity is we have good players, and our players are good enough to reach the expectations that are out there if we have good chemistry, and if we protect the ball, and if we show up with a high level of energy each week, and if we're physical, and if we're playing like we should at each position and develop depth, we can be good. But let's don't fool ourselves. We're getting some confidence because we're playing against each other in practice, but that's why we play somebody else. Syracuse has a prideful program. Dino's a great coach. They're hearing all the hype about us. They're hearing people question them. They're going to come in here and play as hard as they can play and play great. And I want our players to understand that. I want them to have great respect for the other team before the game starts. And then at the end of the game, if we don't play well, we won't know how good we can be. I want us to play as good as we can play and not worry about the opponent, and then see where we are. And if that's not very good after the opener, we'll have to improve a lot before Charlotte. But I want us to be ready to play and play great just so we can figure out who we are. And then we can go from there. And if we don't play well Saturday, everybody will be saying we were overhyped. If we play well Saturday, everybody will say, yeah, we knew they were going to be good. But I've told our guys that scenario changes very quickly with a poor performance. So you need to play well instead of just bragging on yourself all the time.
And having gotten to the precipice of the season now, are you had said a couple weeks ago you thought we were going to play. You had that sense. Are you looking back now to July to April to March surprised to be in this position 3 or 4 days out from your first game?
Look, I thought we were going to play the entire time except the day that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 decided not to play. That's when I thought that the other 3 Power 5 conferences might follow and do the same thing. And that's when I said Monday, I am so proud that our conference, the SEC and the Big 12, decided to move forward. They didn't say we were going to play. But I thought if they would just not pull the plug too soon and continue to watch, and if it was not safe for the kids, we weren't going to play. And that was fine with me. I never questioned if someone said it's not safe. I've told our players, if they come and tell us it's not safe, we don't want to play. I don't want to be out there. I don't want you to be out there. I'm responsible for you. But if they say we can play, but we're going to have to do different things, then let's do the different things to play. So I've always felt like as long as our chancellors and our presidents and our ADs thought we could move forward based on the opinions and the thoughts of the medical experts, and that kept coming up positive, I thought we would play. And I'm not surprised here. I made a really stupid statement this spring, and I made a bunch of them in my life, so nobody really paid much attention to it. But somebody asked me, can you imagine playing without fans? And I said, no. If it's not safe for the fans to be there, why would I think it's safe for our players? How stupid of me, because it's safe for the players. It's not safe for all the fans to be there. That's why we're seeing 20% here and 25% there and spreading out and having masks. But I did think we could play. And from what I've seen, and I believe this with my heart, the virus is not spread through football. Everybody is proving it. It's when the young guys are forced outside of that environment or that bubble, or they go outside and make a poor decision, it can spread very quickly when even just one gets back. So that's our question is the guys have to continue to live in the bubble they're living in to make sure that we continue having this season.
Thanks, Mac.
Thanks, Coach, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.